Okay, so let's start with a super quick revision of the next chapter, that is appeals and revision. I hope whatever lectures we have uploaded, you are using it and you're getting a benefit out of it. If yes, do let me know in the comments. It also brings a smile on my face while I read your comments. Yes, so let's start with this particular chapter, that is appeals and revision. Very simple chapter, very interesting chapter. Appeals and revisions are covered from section number 107 to 121. Okay, 107 to 124, 121 of the CGST Act. Similar provisions have been made applicable for the SGST provisions also, and even to IGST. Okay, now there is going to be a particular hierarchy. Okay, just try to understand that hierarchy for filing the appeals. Okay, as you must have seen in the chapter, we are going to discuss about two things. One is appeals and second one is revision. Okay, first, as of now, I'm just talking about appeals. Okay, let's not confuse it. Let's not mix too many things together. Okay, now first of all, if there is any order, can you see I'm just highlighting it? Okay, if there is any order which is passed by adjudicating authority. Okay, ma'am, what do you mean by adjudicating authority? So adjudicating authority is your, remember in the last chapter I had told you, last to last chapter I had told you, adjudicating authority is your superintendents, then above that is your deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner, and above that is your joint commissioner and additional commissioner. See, here I have written superintendents, deputy commissioner, assistant commissioner, and above that is your additional commissioner or joint commissioner. These people are considered as what? These people are considered as your adjudicating authority, who are going to pass the order or who are going to give the decision. Okay, now your very higher level of authorities like your board, CBIC, or your advanced ruling authority or authority for advanced ruling, revisional authority, then your appellate authorities, etc. These people are not, okay, these people are not your adjudicating authority. This is what is given in the definition. Okay, this is what is given in the definition of this adjudicating authority, that is CBIC. Okay, revisional authority, authority for advanced ruling, appellate authority for advanced ruling, appellate authority, which we are going to study further in the chapter, or appellate tribunal. These people are not adjudicating authority that they are telling. Okay, so just to simplify it and just to make you understand, that's why I've written the name of the authorities here, that these people will therefore be considered as adjudicating authority. Okay, everyone repeat with me. Lowest level, superintendents. Okay, next level is assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner, and above that next level is your assistant commissioner, additional commissioner and joint commissioner. These people will be considered as what? These people will be considered as adjudicating authority. Now, if they have passed any particular order, okay, and if any of the party, either the taxpayer or the department, okay, department means the above level of officers, that is above these people. Above these people also there are officers like your commissioner, principal commissioner, etc. If they are not happy, that is either the taxpayer or the department above officers are not happy with the order passed by the adjudicating authority, then they can go and file an appeal before the appellate authority. Okay, appellate authority, AA. This is your first level of appeal. Okay, this is your first level of appeal where you're going to the appellate authority. If you are not happy with the order passed by appellate authority, then you can go to the appellate tribunal, which is nothing but GST appellate tribunal, or you can call it as GST 80. Okay, so this becomes your second level of appeal. Then once the order is passed by the GST 80, then you have got the next level of appeal, that is the third level, High Court. Okay, and then you have got the fourth level of appeal, that is the Supreme Court. Okay, in some cases from GST 80 we can directly jump to Supreme Court, and in some cases we have to follow the hierarchy. Okay, I'm not giving you the detail now because anyway we are now going to do it in the chapter. But are you clear with the 4 levels of appeal? Yes, everyone. First order will be passed by adjudicating authority, then go and file the appeal before the appellate authority, then go before the appellate tribunal, then High Court, and then Supreme Court. This is the basic hierarchy. Are you clear with this? Now let's understand each one of the level in detail. Okay, everyone, in this revision lecture, to like in a faster manner but in a detailed manner, I'm just trying to cover it for you. Okay, everyone, the first section, that is section number 107, which talks about appeals to the appellate authority. Okay, now this first level of appeal, appellate authority. to this particular authority, appeal can be filed either by the taxpayer or appeal can be filed by the department. Okay, if the appeal is filed by the taxpayer, taxpayer can go and file the appeal in this form, that is GST APL 01, GST APL 01 form. In this, the appeal can be filed. Okay, this has to be filed within 3 months from the date of communication of the order. Means whenever we came to know about the adjudicating authority's order, from that day, within 3 months, we can go and file the appeal to the appellate authority. And if there is a sufficient cause, then this delay can be condoned by a period of 1 month. Are you clear with this? Yes. Now, generally, this appeal is filed. Generally, this appeal is filed electronically. Okay, if you are filing it electronically, GST APL 01, immediately after filing, a provisional acknowledgement is generated. Okay, provisional acknowledgement is generated on the GST portal. Now, if the order against which you want to go for appeal, against whose order you wanted to go for appeal? We wanted to go for an appeal against the order of adjudicating authority. Now, if his order is available on the GST portal, okay, then in such a case, your date of provisional acknowledgement will be considered as date of filing the appeal. Okay, but if the provisional acknowledgement, but if the order of the adjudicating authority, okay, against whom you want to go and file an appeal, if that is not available, on the portal, then in that case, the taxpayer will have to go and file. The taxpayer will have to go and file the self-certified copy of that particular order within a time period of 7 days of provisional acknowledgement. If filed within 7 days, then the date of provisional acknowledgement will be considered as date of filing. If filed late, then the date of filing this self-certified copy of that old order will be considered as the date of filing the appeal. So, we filed the appeal in GST APL 01. As soon as we filed the appeal, provisional acknowledgement was issued. Okay, final acknowledgement will be issued once the order copy of the adjudicating authority is available either on the portal or when you go and manually submit it. Okay, if we have done the submissions on time, then in that case, whenever the provisional acknowledgement was issued, okay, that will be considered as the date of filing the appeal. If we went and submitted the adjudicating authority's order copy late, then the date of final acknowledgement, or whenever we went and submitted that order copy to the appellate authority, that date will be considered as the date of filing the appeal. Okay, and then recently in this, for May 24 exam and onwards, an amendment was introduced here that suppose if all this, whatever procedure I told you, that was for filing the appeal electronically. Okay, suppose if the old order copy of adjudicating authority against whom we are going and filing the appeal, if that is not available, okay, or if the commissioner tells us, okay, or if the commissioner has so notified by way of a notification that appeal to be filed manually, then in that case, appeal can be filed manually in form number GST APL 01 along with all the relevant documents. Okay, and whenever you have filed the appeal and the provisional acknowledgement is issued, that date will be considered as if your appeal has been filed. Ma'am, why is this date of filing the appeal so important? Because further time periods will depend on the date of filing the appeal. Are you clear with this? Yes. And yes, whenever you are going and filing, suppose if the order copy, order of adjudicating authority is available on the GST common portal, well and good. Okay, if it is not available, then the appellant is required to submit it. Okay, it has to go and submit it manually to that particular appellate authority. That will be submitted. That will be submitted in form number. That will be submitted manually, and then a final acknowledgement is given to the appellant. That is in form number GST APL 02. Are you clear with this? Yes. Acha. Then after that, one very important thing is, whenever the taxpayer is going and filing an appeal before the appellate authority, at that time he is required to pay a mandatory pre-deposit. Okay, some amount of taxes is required to be paid to the department. Only then appellate authority will accept your appeal, otherwise no. Okay, if you don't pay this, then the appellate authority or the department can start with the recovery proceedings. There will be no stay on your recovery proceedings even during appeal. Okay, so some amount of mandatory pre-deposit has to be paid. We will study it later, how much amount of mandatory pre-deposit is required to be paid. Okay, Acha. Second part is when the department is going and filing an appeal. If the department goes and files an appeal, when the department is not agreeing with the decision given by the adjudicating authority, then it can do so. Now, who will go and file the appeal from the department? Can we say adjudicating authority were very lower authorities, superintendent, assistant or deputy commissioner, additional or joint commissioner. Now above that, that is commissioner level persons, okay, they will check the order which was passed by the adjudicating authority, they will check the legality of it, and if it is of the opinion that the decision is against the department, okay, if the decision is against the department, then the commissioner will tell its lower level authorities, please go and file the appeal before the appellate authority, and they can file the appeal within 6 months from the date of communication of the order, and this delay can be condoned by a further period of 1 month if there is any sufficient cause. Are you clear with this? Okay, and when the department is going and filing the appeal, they will go and file the appeal in form GST APL 03. Okay, first procedure that I will tell you for electronically. Department will file the appeal electronically. Okay, as soon as the appeal is filed electronically, provisional acknowledgement is issued to the department. Okay, now if suppose the order of adjudicating authority is available on the common portal, okay, if it is available, uploaded on the common portal, well and good, final acknowledgement will be issued to you, but the date of provisional acknowledgement, the old date, will be considered as the date of filing the appeal. Okay, and suppose if the order or decision against which we are going and filing the appeal, if that is not available on the common portal for the appellate authority to take the case ahead, then the department will have to go and file the self-certified copy of that particular order within 7 days of filing the appeal. Okay, if we file it within 7 days, then the date of provisional acknowledgement will be considered as the date of appeal. If we file it beyond 7 days, after 7 days, then in that case, whenever you go and submit your self-certified copy of order of adjudicating authority, means when the department is going and submitting it, that date will be considered as date of filing the appeal. Okay, if we are not filing it electronically, then it can be filed manually also. Department can also go and file it manually if the commissioner has so notified, or if the order copy is not available on the common portal, then the entire thing can be done. Manually by submitting the relevant documents. In above, you know what was happening in electronically? Either everything was happening online, that is when the order copy is available on the GST portal, etc., everything was done online, or partially it was done online and partially it was done offline. Means you filed GST APL 03 online, but then later you submitted the self-certified copy offline. So here in these two cases, it was partially online and offline. Or alternatively, if the commissioner is so notifying, then you can do everything manually also. Okay, that was the amendment. And yes, whenever the department is going and filing the appeal, at that time there will be no requirement to pay any pre-deposit. Pre-deposit of taxes, payment of taxes can obviously be made applicable only on the taxpayer. So we cannot ask the department to pay any pre-deposit. Are you clear with this? Now listen, either the taxpayer or the department has filed the appeal. Now the ball is in the court of the appellate authority. Appellate authority will give opportunity of being heard to both the parties. It can give adjournments for hearing the appeal, but not more than 3. It will consider all the facts and figures, and then it will pass the order. Okay, either it can confirm the old order, it can modify the old order, or it can cancel the old order. And suppose if because of appellate authority's order, if the tax liability is increasing, then please give reasonable opportunity of being heard to the taxpayer before passing such an order. Are you clear with this? And suppose if the appellate authority is of the opinion that, oh God, this is a case of section 73-74. Remember those tax short paid, tax not paid, erroneous refund and all those cases. If it is a case of section 73-74, then appellate authority cannot pass the order before issuing the show cause notice under section 73-74. And for issuing the show cause notice under section 73-74, it will also have to keep in mind that whether the time period is still left to pass that particular show cause to issue the show cause notice, or it has already become time barred. If it has already become time barred, then you cannot do anything. Okay, means the appellate authority cannot do anything. Now it cannot issue the show cause notice and the proceedings will have to be totally dropped. Are you understanding this? Acha, now listen, before the appellant gets the show cause notice, or before the order is passed by the appellate authority, if it is of the opinion that appeal should be withdrawn, then they can go and make an application and to the AA, and the appeal can be withdrawn. Okay, but if the AA has already issued the final acknowledgement of accepting your appeal, then whether it should be withdrawn or not, that will be subject to the permission given by the appellate authority. Yes, now we studied the time limit for filing the appeal before the AA. When the taxpayer goes, he has to go within 3 months plus 1 month. When the department is going, department is given a time period of 6 months plus 1 month. Now the matter comes to the AA. Now AA should give the final decision within how much time? It should try to give the decision within a time period of 1 year from the date of filing the appeal. 1 year from the date of filing the appeal. What will be the date of filing the appeal? If the order copy of adjudicating authority was available on the common portal, then date of filing the appeal was date of provisional acknowledgement. Okay, if the order copy was not available on the portal, but we submitted it manually, self-certified copy, we submitted it within 7 days of filing the appeal, date of provisional acknowledgement will be the date of appeal, date of filing the appeal. And suppose, but if we did not submit it within 7 days of filing the appeal, the self-certified copy, then the day when we are going and submitting it late, that date will be considered as the date of filing the appeal. And from that day, within 1 year, it should try, appellate authority should try to dispose of that particular appeal. Okay, and once the appeal is disposed of, then the order copy will be sent to everyone. Okay, means it will be sent to the appellant who filed the appeal, it will be sent to the opposite party respondent, and plus it will also be sent to the adjudicating authority also, because against that particular person's order we gave a decision. Are you understanding this? Okay, now the most important thing here is who is the appellate authority. Okay, who will be the appellate authority? Now see everyone here, this is something very, very important. Just try to understand. Do you recollect I told you who is the adjudicating authority? Yes, adjudicating authority is superintendent. Adjudicating, what happened? Adjudicating authority is superintendent or deputy or assistant commissioner or additional or joint commissioner. These three people are your adjudicating authority. If we want to go against their order, okay, if we want to go against superintendent and deputy or assistant commissioner, we have to go before JC appeals or above. Okay, joint commissioner, not normal joint commissioner, joint commissioner of appeals or above. And if you want to go against additional or joint commissioner, then we'll have to go to the commissioner of appeals. Just like in income tax also you have na CIT appeals. Same way here also commissioner of appeals. These people will be what? These people will be your appellate authority before whom we are going and before whom we are supposed to go and file the appeal. Are you clear with this? Yes. Okay. So this was all about your section number 107. Okay, 107, where the appeal was filed before the appellate authority. Now, another point which is going parallelly, okay, another point which is going parallelly with appellate authority is revisional authority. Okay, now listen, there is the revisional authority which is established under your GST law. Okay, now revisional authority is higher authorities from department only. They are not from appeal. Okay, revision is not appeal. Okay, appeal was totally different, revision is totally different. Appeal will be done by the appellate authorities. Okay, but revision will be done by revisional authorities who are the higher level departmental officers only. So, the revisional authority either suo motu or on the basis of information received from other commissioners, okay, it will check the order which was passed by the adjudicating authority. Okay, it will check the order which was passed by adjudicating authority, and if RA is of the view that the order which is passed by adjudicating authority is erroneous. Okay, why is it erroneous? Because it is prejudicial to the interest of the department. Means department person is telling that adjudicating authority gave the decision in favor of the taxpayer. It did not give the decision in favor of the department, and such an order is illegal and improper. Or if it is of the opinion, if the RA is of the opinion that this order has not considered some material facts while passing the order, okay, or in consequence of observation of CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, okay, when means some observation was given by the CAG, on that basis if RA is of the opinion that the order of adjudicating authority or the decision of adjudicating authority should be stayed, should be paused, then in such cases, the revisional authority will revise the order which was passed by the adjudicating authority. Revise means again it can enhance, it can modify, it can annul. Okay, and then revisional authority is going to pass the final order which will contain the final amount which is due from the taxpayer. But definitely yes, if the amount is increasing, After RA has done the revision, if the amount is increasing, then ROBH should be given to that particular taxpayer before passing the final order. And yes, just like AA's order was appealable further, similarly even RA's order is further appealable before the AT. Okay, so whenever adjudicating authority gave the order, either appeal can go under section 107 or revision can be done suo motu by the revisional authority under section 108. Are you clear with this? Okay, now there are certain restrictions. Okay, there are certain restrictions for doing this revision. Okay, what are the restrictions for doing this particular revision? First of all, for doing this revision, there are certain orders which cannot be revised. Okay, that list of orders is given under section 121. When we do 121 section number, I'll tell you about that. Okay, next one. Any particular matter which is pending in appeal, that cannot be revised. Okay, if there is any particular matter which is pending for appeal before AA, before AT, before High Court, before Supreme Court, then RA cannot interfere in between. RA is very small. Okay, so RA cannot interfere in between. But can there be such a possibility that we went for appeal? There were 6 matters totally. Only for 4 matters the appeal was decided, and 2 matters were not at all subjected to appeal. Okay, so for those 2 matters which were not subjected to appeal, can we go for revision for those 2 matters? Means, can the revisional authority do the revision for those 2 matters? Yes, definitely it can do the revision of those 2 matters, and there will be a time period for completing the revision of these 2 matters. That is either 3 years from the date of adjudicating authority's order or 1 year from the date of appeal order, whichever is later. Okay, 3 years from the date of original order of adjudicating authority, or 1 year from the date of appeal order for those 4 matters. Out of these 2, whichever is later, within this much time, the appeal of the revision of those 2 matters can be done by the revisional authority, right? And suppose if there is any particular matter normally which had not at all gone into revision, which had not at all gone under appeal. Okay, means the order was passed by adjudicating authority and no appeal, etc., nothing, no one went to AA, etc. Then in that case, revisional authority can definitely come and do the revision, but it cannot do the revision for 6 months. Okay, means as soon as the order is passed by the adjudicating authority, after that the revision authority will have to wait for a period of 6 months, because maybe the department can go for an appeal. 6 months time period was given for appeal. Okay, so please wait for 6 months. Please don't start the revision for the first 6 months. Okay, but as soon as 6 months get over, means the time for filing the appeal has got over. After that, you can do the revision, but the revision should be completed within a time period of 3 years from the original date of the order of, from the date of communication of the order of adjudicating authority. So basically, whenever the adjudicating authority's order was communicated, for the first 6 months, the revision cannot be done. For the next, during the next 2.5 years. Okay, ma'am, how did you get 2.5 years? I told a total time period of 3 years, right? Out of 3 years from the date of communication of the order, for the first 6 months, revision cannot be done. So for the next 2.5 years, the revision can be done. That is a time period basically for completing the revision. If not done, then revision cannot be done at all. Are you clear till here? Yes. Examples for that, etc., is given in our book. Sufficient examples we have included in the book. Yes. Now listen. Whenever revision proceedings are going on by the revisional authority, okay, and on that matter, okay, there is some case, there is some appeal case which is going on against, which is going on in someone else's case, okay, before let's say appellate tribunal or high court. Okay, my matter is there with the revisional authority, same matter, okay, same matter in someone else's case is pending before the is going on before the appeal authorities, that is before appellate tribunal or high court, etc. Okay, and now that appeal has been disposed of, that is some other client's appeal has been disposed of, but same matter. Okay, and that appeal was in favor of the taxpayer. So now I went on running to the revisional authority and I told to the revisional authority, sir, see, same case and the decision is in my favor. So revisional authority will say, wait, the department is going to contest it again before the next level of appeal authority. I said, okay. So then, sir, let's wait now till the next level of appeal authority gives us the decision. Example, if the old appeal decision was given by the AT, now can we say department will go and file the appeal before High Court? Or if the old decision was given by the High Court, now the department will go and file the appeal before the Supreme Court. So we will have to wait till the time the decision of the next level of authority comes. So whatever is the time, okay, whatever is the time between the decision given by the lower authorities till the time between the decision given by the higher level of authorities, can we say we will have to wait? The taxpayer as well as the revisional authority will have to wait. So that much extra time will be available. Remember, we had to complete it within 3 years from the date of communication of the adjudicating authority's order. So in that we are going to get an extension of such extra time. Are you clear with this? And plus, if there was any stay given by the court or tribunal in between this 6 months and 3 years, then that extra time also we are going to get for the purpose of doing the revision. Yes, and yes, also remember, revision can be done only once, and once the order has been revised, it cannot be re-revised. Understanding this? Yes. So if you want, okay, if you want, I can just summarize the things till here so that we will be, before that, we'll just complete this. Who is your revisional authority? Revisional authority, like I told you, it is not your appeal authority. Okay, so these are higher officers from your department only. So if AA was your superintendent or deputy or assistant commissioner, then your revision will be done by AC or JC, additional commissioner or joint commissioner. That is next level basically. Okay, and if the adjudicating authority was additional or joint commissioner, then the revision can be done by the next level, that is principal commissioner or commissioner. Okay, everyone here, just try to understand this. First level is your adjudicating authority. Yes, can you tell me who is your adjudicating authority? Superintendent is your adjudicating authority. Deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner is your adjudicating authority, and additional commissioner and joint commissioner is your adjudicating authority. Okay, if we want to go for appeal, we will have to go to AA. If we want to go for revision, then revision will be done by the revisional authority. Okay, revision means we cannot go and apply for revision, but revisional authority will suo moto interfere in between. Are you clear till here? Yes. Now, who is your adjudicating, who is your appellate authority? Appellate authority means someone from appeals, right? Someone from appeals. Do you recollect for these two? For these two, joint commissioner of appeals or above, right? And for this, it is going to be commissioner of appeals, who is going to be your appellate authority. And for revisional authority, who is going to be your revisional? For these two levels, it is going to be this authority, that is additional commissioner or joint commissioner. And for this, the revisional authority is going to be commissioner or principal commissioner. Are you clear till here? Yes. Now, one more thing which I would like to add in this revision only for the purpose of your re-revision is whenever whenever the taxpayer is going to the appellate authority for appeals, okay, then in that case we can go within how much time? 3 months plus 1 month. When the department is going, department can go within 6 months plus 1 month. Okay, revisional authority will do the revision on its own. It cannot do the revision for the first 6 months after the order of adjudicating authority, but it has to complete within a total period of 3 years from the date of communication of the adjudicating authority's order. Are you clear till here? And for the completion of time period for adjudicating authority, it was given an advisory time period of 1 year from the date of filing the appeal to complete the appeal provisions. Are you clear with this? Yes, this was the entire revision again that we have done. Now, going on to the next level of appeal. Next level of appeal is going to be before the GST 80. Okay, GST 80. Now, first of all, how is this GST 80 constituted? I'll just show you in a summary diagram. This GST 80, 80 stands for your appellate tribunal. Okay, GST 80 is in two parts. One is something called as principal bench. Okay, and second one is something called as state bench. Okay, earlier old names were there like regional, national, etc. Now I'm teaching you the amended provisions only. Okay. In GST 80 is divided into two benches. One is your principal bench and the other one is your state bench. Okay, this is state level bench. This is national level bench, principal bench. Now, there are going to be certain persons who are going to be forming part of these benches who are going to listen to the appeals. Okay, now before that, first doubt, why do we want GST 80? Okay, why do we want GST 80? Because can we say any of the person, either the department or the taxpayer, can they be aggrieved by the order passed by AA? Or can they also be aggrieved by the order passed by revisional authority? Yes, so for that purpose, we need a next level of authority, that is your GST 80. Okay, now who all are going to sit in this GST 80? Just try to understand. So in principal bench, okay, in principal bench, there will be one president, okay, then one judicial member having knowledge of law, just like your judge, etc., and one technical member from the state and one technical member from the center, one from center, one from state. So this way, 4 people, okay, 4 people will be there in the principal bench. And similarly for state bench, you are going to have 2 judicial members, one technical member of the center, one technical member of the state, coming to total of 4 members here also. Okay, in state there is no president. In state there is no president. There will be a person called as vice president. Okay, there will be a person called as vice president who will be the senior most member out of these 2 judicial members. So he is going to look after the state bench, and president is going to look after principal as well as the state bench. This is how your GST 80 is formed. Are you clear with this? Okay, so whenever any person is aggrieved by the order passed by AA or RA, then the matter goes to GST 80. In GST 80, either it can go to principal bench or it can go to the state bench. This will be decided by the president, that the matter will go to whom. Very clear with this? Yes. Now, one very, very important point here is, if the matter relates to, or if the dispute relates to place of supply. Okay, means some order was passed by AA or RA, and I am a taxpayer, I have dispute on that particular order, and that is a dispute relating to place of supply. Then the matter cannot go to the state bench. You already know IGST provisions will apply. Therefore, in that case, the matter can be dealt only by the principal bench. Okay, so if it is a POS matters, it can be dealt only by the principal bench. If it is the other matters, then it can be dealt either by the principal bench or by the state bench. Are you understanding this? Yes. All those things are written here. Now listen, whenever any particular case comes to GST 80, okay, whenever any case comes to GST 80, in such cases, your case will be heard by one judicial member and one technical member. Okay, whenever, see, these people are anyway sitting in the benches. Okay, two judicial member, one technical, these people are totally sitting in the benches. But it is not necessary that for every case, everyone should give their decision. Okay, so one case is decided by one judicial member and one technical member. Okay, in some cases, if it is a less complicated case, small amount case, etc., then it can be decided by single member bench also. That is, only one member will be from the GST 80 can also decide the case. Are you understanding all these things, everyone? Yes, see here it's written. Now, when the case, can we say this will become very simple? When the case is decided only by one member out of GST 80. Now, when will this apply? Okay, this will be applicable when the amount of tax which is there under dispute, if that is up to rupees 50 lakhs, plus it does not involve any question of law, plus the president of that principal bench says that single member bench works, and plus all the other conditions which are given gets fulfilled. If all these 4 points get fulfilled, means where the tax amount is less, not involving question of law, and president has also given its approval, then in that case, a particular case can be dealt by single member bench. That is either one judicial member and one technical member. Okay, but in other cases, let's say if it involves question of law, or let's say the amount of tax is more than 50 lakhs, or if president says that no, single member bench does not work, then in such cases, your case will be decided by 2 members, that is one judicial member and one technical member. Are you clear with this? Okay, decision is normally taken by majority. Okay, if there is any difference of opinion here, then depending upon benches, that is either principal bench or state bench, the president will introduce one more members. Okay, let's say if these members are from the principal bench, then the president will include one more member from the principal bench, and then there will be total 3 members now, and then they will take a revised majority. Suppose if these members are from the state bench, then the president will include one more member from the state bench, and then there will be 3 members, and then we will take a revised majority. This is how the decisions are taken. Okay, suppose if in your GST 80 council, okay, not council, in your constitution of GST 80, suppose if there is a death of any particular person, or let's say there is resignation of any particular person, and temporarily the place is vacant. Okay, if temporarily the place is vacant, then rest of the members can continue to take the decision. Means the proceedings will not become invalid. Okay, suppose if there is a death of any other member, or there is a resignation, retirement of any other member, then we might need some more time to fill that vacancy. Till that time, remaining members can continue and they can take the decision. Okay, similar things we have studied in our law also. And the next point which is coming up here is the powers which are there with the appellate tribunal. Okay, the powers which are there with the appellate tribunal. Now, appellate tribunal has got all the powers as vested in civil court. Means it is regulated by code of civil procedure, but it is not just restricted. It is not just bound to follow the civil procedure. It is regulated by its own procedure also. Means it can make its own procedures. Also, it can get itself regulated by its own procedures also. Are you understanding this? Yes. Now, this was just the constitution of GST 80. We did not study anything about filing the appeal before GST 80. Now, can you tell me when can we go, or who can go and file the appeal before GST 80? Can we say either the taxpayer can go and file the appeal before GST 80, or can we say even the department can go and file the appeal before GST 80? Okay, whenever they are going and filing, against whose order can they go? They can go against the order of appellate authority, or they can go against the order of revisional authority. Are you clear with this? Okay, now when the taxpayer is going, taxpayer can go within 3 months, and this delay can be condoned by another period of 3 months. Okay, from the date of communication. Communication of whose order? Communication of the AA or the RA's order. And yes, whenever it is going to the GST 80, it is again required to pay some pre-deposit. Some mandatory pre-deposit is required to be paid. Just like we had paid it at the earlier level also, here also the taxpayer is required to pay that particular amount. And this appeal will be filed in form GST APL 05. Rest provisions will be same as that of your AA. That is GST APL 05 is formed. You can file it electronically. Okay, once it is filed electronically, and if the copy of AA or RA's order is available on the common portal, final acknowledgement will be issued. Date of provisional acknowledgement will be considered as your date of filing the appeal. Okay, if not, if the copy of AA or RA's order against which we are going and filing the appeal, if that is not available on the portal, you go and submit the self-certified copy of it within 7 days of filing the appeal. If you go within 7 days, date of provisional acknowledgement will be considered as date of filing the appeal. If not, the day when you go and submit that self-certified copy, that will be considered as the date of filing the appeal. Okay, same to same provision which we had studied earlier. Okay, now listen, sometimes it can so happen that when you go and file the appeal, when the taxpayer goes and files the appeal before GST 80, GST 80 can even refuse it. Okay, when will GST 80 refuse it? When the amount of tax dispute does not exceed rupees 50,000. Means they are telling that it is a very petty amount. So GST 80 may refuse it, and GST 80 will say that whatever order was passed by AA or RA, that is full and final. Okay, and whenever the taxpayer goes and files the appeal, okay, then in that case an opportunity is also given to the department, that is the opposite party, to submit something called as memorandum of cross objection. Means if department now wants to say something against that particular taxpayer, the department should be given an opportunity to submit it within a time period of 45 days from the date when they come to know that appeal has been filed by the taxpayer. So when I come to know that taxpayer has filed the appeal, then department also has got the right to submit the memorandum of cross objection within a time period of 45 days, and this can be further condoned by another period of 45 days if there is a sufficient cause. Are you clear with this? And yes, now just like I told you, whenever the taxpayer is filing the appeal, he has to pay the pre-deposit plus extra. The taxpayer is also required to pay the fees. Fees is equal to rupees 1,000 for every 1 lakh of tax. Okay, for every 1 lakh rupees of tax, 1,000 is the amount of fees that you have to pay. Suppose if tax is 1,20,000, then you have to pay 2,000 rupees as fees for filing the appeal before the GST 80. Are you clear with this? This was when the appeal was filed by the taxpayer. Now, when the appeal is filed by the department, can department also be aggrieved by the decision given by AA or the RA? Yes, then it can go and file the appeal within a time period of 6 months with no further extension. Okay, so total period of 6 months is given to the department to go and file the appeal. Department can go and file the appeal in GST APL 07. Okay, again, department is not required to pay any pre-deposit amount, plus the department is also not even required to pay the fees. Okay, and then whatever is the date of filing the appeal, from that day within 1 year, GST 80 should try to dispose of that particular appeal. Are you clear with this? Yes, and suppose if we notice that any person, either the taxpayer or the department, if they notice that there is some mistake, what do you say? If there is any error which is evident, which is clearly evident from that order, that there is some mistake in the order of GST 80, then we can go and apply to the taxpayer, department, or the GST 80 suo motu. If it comes to know that there is some mistake in its order, then in such cases, it can do the rectification of mistake. That is not appeal. That is just rectifying its own order. So fees, etc. is not applicable for this, and this rectification will be done from the within 3 months from the date of his order. GST 80 is order, within 3 months it is doing the rectification, and within 3 months it can be done. And suppose if because of this rectification, if the tax liability increases, then please give ROBS to that particular taxpayer. Are you clear till here, everyone? Yes, so this was basically all about your appeals which we filed before Appellate Authority and before the GST 80. We have studied all the time periods in this particular chart that we have done. Now listen, a few common provisions which are applicable to the appeals that we have filed before the Appellate Authority and before GST 80. Now, do you recollect in both of these sections when we studied, we discussed something about pre-deposit, mandatory pre-deposit amount which a taxpayer, only a taxpayer is required to pay to the AA and to GST 80 before he goes and files an appeal, and that is mandatory. Okay, if you do not pay this, your appeal will not be accepted and the recovery proceedings are going to start. Now, how much amount of pre-deposit is required to be paid? Okay, so first case is when we are going and filing the appeal before the Appellate Authority, then you are required to pay a pre-deposit of, first of all, 100% full amount of tax, interest, fine, fees, penalty, whatever is admitted. Okay, means whatever is accepted by the taxpayer, pay 100%. Everything, tax, interest, penalty, fine, fees, everything. Okay, and plus you are also required to pay 10% of the remaining tax on which there is a dispute for which you are going for appeal. Okay, 10% of the tax amount, not tax plus interest plus. No, here in the second level when you are paying, it has to be 10% only of the disputed tax amount. Okay, and this 10% will be restricted to 25 crore in case of CGST. Okay, CGST, SGST each, and when it goes to IGST, then this amount will be restricted to 50 crore. That is the disputed amount, 10%. This will be restricted to this particular limit. This is when you are going and filing the appeal before the Appellate Authority. Similarly, when you are going and filing the appeal before the Appellate Tribunal, at that time also that person was required to pay some pre-deposit. Okay, how much? First of all, full liability that you have admitted, that is tax, interest, penalty, fee, fine, everything, 100% of it you have to pay, plus double 20% of the tax which is in dispute, means which you have not accepted. 20% of that basic tax amount you have to pay, and this 20% of the tax amount which you are paying, this will be restricted to 50 crores in case of CGST, SGST each, but in case of IGST it has to be restricted to rupees 100 crore. Are you clear with this? Okay, so whatever in case of, I'll just summarize it here also if you want. In case of Appellate Authority, pay 100% of accepted dues. Okay, accepted dues, when I'm using the word, means your tax, interest, penalty, etc. Plus 10% of tax amount which is still under dispute, means to which you are not agreeing. That's why you're going and filing the appeal before the AA. And this amount will be restricted to 25 crores in case of CGST, SGST each, or in case of IGST, it will be restricted to 50 crore. Are you clear with this? This much amount you have to pay to the AA, then only you can go ahead for the appeal. And in case of pre-deposit before the GST 80, okay, either of the benches, principal bench or whatever, okay, again here in this case 100% of the accepted dues has to be paid, and then double of the left hand side, that is 20% of the tax which is in dispute. And this amount, okay, not 100%, this so you have to pay, this amount will be restricted to 50 crores in case of CGST, SGST each, okay, or 100 crore in case of IGST. Are you clear with this? This much amount has to be paid to the, this much amount of pre-deposit has to be paid before filing the appeal. Are you clear with this? Yes. Multiple examples, multiple numerical examples, we have it in our textbook, plus we have discussed in our lectures also, regular as well as fast track. Now listen, now suppose if you have paid this pre-deposit, okay, taxpayer before filing he has to mandatorily pay this pre-deposit. Now he has paid this particular pre-deposit and he wins the appeal. Okay, if he wins the appeal, then whatever tax dues was admitted, that is okay. But whatever extra he has paid, that 10% or 20%, and let's say decision is such that he should get the refund of that tax paid. Okay, if he should get the refund of the tax paid, then he will also get a interest on the same. Okay, interest will, he is going to get the interest. So interest will be received at the rate of 6% from the day when we paid this amount to the day when we are going to get the refund. Okay, the day when we paid till the date when we are going to get the refund, for that many number of days, interest will be received by us at the rate of 6%, provided the order is in our favor. Yes. Okay, next common point which is coming up here is whenever you are going and filing an appeal before AA, okay, means previous order was of whom? Previous order was of the adjudicating authority. So now you are going to the AA. Okay, or let's say now if you are going before the AT, means previous order was of whom? Previous order was of AA, and before that the order was of the adjudicating authority. Okay, now what are they telling us here is whenever you are going and filing the appeal before AA or AT, as the case may be, okay, then in that case you are normally by default not allowed to produce any additional evidence. Okay, means whatever evidence was originally presented before adjudicating authority or before the AA, as the case may be, only that same evidence can be produced now before the appeals also. Okay, don't submit any new evidence now. Okay, but this is a by default rule, because otherwise, see, if you are submitting any new evidence, can we say because of that the decision can change? And because you did not submit it to the earlier authority was not able to give a correct decision. So they have put a by default rule that please don't submit any new additional evidence in the appeals later. Okay, use the same documents which you had submitted earlier. But there are 4 exceptions to that. Okay, first one, suppose what if the old authorities did not accept, they refused to accept the evidence, then you can now submit it. Okay, or second one, when the old authorities asked you for the evidence but you could not, they called for the evidence but you could not submit it due to some sufficient cause. Okay, maybe for example they told you to submit a bank account statement, okay, but you could not get it from the bank on time, not because of your fault. So in such cases when they called for the evidence but you could not submit it due to sufficient cause, now if you have got it, then okay, submit it. Right? Third one, the old authorities did not call for that evidence, but it was relevant for your appeal. So you should have submitted it, but you could not submit it because of a sufficient cause. What is the difference between the second one and the third one? Second one was they called for the evidence, but you could not submit it. Third one, they did not call it, but you should have submitted it because it is a relevant evidence, but I could not submit it due to some sufficient cause. So now you can submit it. Right? And the last one, if the old authorities pass the order without giving you a sufficient opportunity of being heard or without giving you reasonable opportunity of being heard, then in that case you can produce some additional evidence before the appeal authorities. Okay, these 4 points are given here in your textbook. Okay, what is a by default rule? By default rule is appellant is not allowed to produce any additional evidence which he had not produced at the earlier levels. earlier levels, but in these 4 cases, he can submit those additional evidence. Are you clear with this? And whenever, yes, now whenever we are accepting, whenever the AA or AT is accepting this new evidence, they will make a note of it in writing, and the respondent, that is the opposite party, should also be given an option to check those witnesses, documents, etc. Are you clear till here? Yes. Okay. Now, one more point here, common point. Whenever the case is going on, okay, whenever the case is going on before adjudicating authority, okay, adjudicating authority, or whenever the case is going on before the AA, or whenever the case is going on before the GST AT, okay, I'm not talking about High Court and Supreme Court. Whenever the case is going on at these 3 levels, then either that particular person, either that same taxpayer can go and represent the case, okay, or when it is not necessary for him to go in person, then in that case AR, authorized representative, can be appointed. Okay, authorized representative on behalf of the taxpayer can be appointed to represent before the authorities. Now that authorized representative can be whom? He can be a relative of that taxpayer, a regular employee, advocate, CA, cost accountant, company secretary, or a GST practitioner. Okay, these people can act as our authorized representative. And also, if there is any indirect tax gazetted officer, GST officers, okay, who have experience of 2 years, okay, but now they have retired from the department, or now they have resigned from the department, and at least 1 year is done from the date of their resignation or retirement. Okay, means 1 year cooling period is to be kept after they have resigned or retired from the department. And if they have 2 years of experience, then even such persons can act as your authorized representative. Okay, but if these people were dismissed or removed from the government service, okay, or if they were convicted of any offense under CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST, or any old VAT laws or old service tax laws, means they were convicted by court of any particular offense, or if they were found guilty, they were just found guilty of any misconduct, then in such cases, the above people cannot act as your authorized representative. Okay, either dismissed, convicted of any offense, or found guilty of any misconduct. And one more point is, if any person is adjudged as insolvent, okay, if any person is adjudged as insolvent, then during insolvency period, that person cannot act as your authorized representative. Okay, once his insolvency gets over, then he is eligible to act as your authorized representative. Are you clear till here? Yes. Okay, these were some of your common points which we had to do before we go to appeal before High Court and appeal before Supreme Court. Okay, now listen, in which cases will we go to High Court? Okay, if any of the party is aggrieved by the order passed by GST AT, okay, if we are aggrieved by the order passed by GST AT, that too by state bench. Do you recollect right hand side state bench? Yes. If we are aggrieved by the order passed by GST AT state bench, then we will go and file the appeal before the High Court, provided it involves a question of law. Okay, then ma'am, what about GST AT principal bench? If the order was passed by GST AT principal bench, then the appeal directly goes to the Supreme Court. This I had told you in the beginning of the chapter also. Okay. Now, if we are aggrieved by the order passed by GST AT state bench, then appeal can be filed before the High Court. Any of the party can go and file the appeal, and this appeal can be filed within a time period of 180 days from the date of communication of this order, and plus High Court can condone this period by any number of days. Now we are at the High Court level, so we cannot give a limit to the High Court. Yes, and nor we cannot even tell to the High Court to complete the appeal within so and so time period, right? And this appeal can be filed with this appeal will be filed in form number GST APL 08. GST APL 08. This is the form in which the appeal is going to be. Are you clear with this? Yes, and yes, High Court is going to consider this case only if it involves question of law. This also means that if your case has question of facts, okay, means there is no issue in law interpretation, there is proper case laws, case studies available for that, then in that case, the previous authority, that is GST AT, is going to be the final decision making authority. But only if it has question of law, then only High Court will consider this particular matter. Yes. Now, if we are aggrieved by this order of High Court, okay, if we are aggrieved by this order of High Court, and if High Court certifies that this is a fit case to be decided by the Supreme Court, then only this case will come further to the Supreme Court. Did you understand? High Court gave a decision. Any one of the party is not happy with that. We want to go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will take my case only if High Court certifies that it is a fit one to go to the Supreme Court. That is one case. Or any direct who has an approach to the, who has a opportunity to approach the Supreme Court. If any order was passed by GST 80 principal bench, then they can directly come to the Supreme Court, but provided it also has some question of law involved in it. Are you clear with this? Yes. And for Supreme Court, there is no time period for going and filing the appeal. Are you clear with this, everyone? Yes, manageable. Okay, so when we talk about High Court, which cases can come to High Court? Any order which is passed by GST 80 state bench, okay, that comes to the High Court. Okay, which case comes to the Supreme Court? Any order passed by GST 80 principal bench, that can come to Supreme Court directly. Or if we are aggrieved by the order passed by the High Court, and if High Court certifies it to be a fit one, then it comes to the Supreme Court. Okay, and final decision making authority is going to be your Supreme Court, against which there can be no appeals possible. Are you clear till here? Yes. And then the last two sections of the chapter, that is section number 120 and section number 121. Very simple but very important from exam point of view. Okay, section number 120 says that in some cases department will be given a restriction. Okay, means there will be a restriction on the CGST officers that they cannot file appeals. Now, we had already seen that before appellate authority, before GST 80, before High Court, even department can come and file the appeal. Okay, but section 120 says that we are going to set some monetary limits. Okay, we are going to set some monetary limits, and only if the tax amount exceeds that monetary limit, then only departmental appeals can be filed. There is no such limit for taxpayer. This monetary limit will be applicable only when the department wants to go and file the appeal, because many a times it happens that unnecessarily, just because the decision goes in the favor of taxpayer, department says, why? How can it happen? It should not happen. So they simply go and file the appeal even if it does not have some substance in it. Right? So the law says that we are going to set some monetary limits only if the amount of tax involved in the dispute, if it exceeds this monetary limit, then only appeal can be filed in that particular case. That does not mean that the department cannot go for appeal in other cases. That is, if there is any similar cases, okay, if there is any similar matter under appeal where the monetary limit is exceeding, then then the officer can go and file the appeal. Okay, next point that they are telling us here is, department, if it is not able to go and file the appeal because of monetary limits, does not mean that department has accepted the decision given by the old authority. Okay, department is not accepting the decision given by that authority, but still because of the monetary limits, the department is unable to go and file the appeal. Doesn't mean that department has accepted the authority's order, right? And last one, even the appellate authority should consider the reasons why the department wanted to file an appeal. Okay, the appellate tribunal or the court, they will also consider the circumstances for non-filing of appeal because of monetary limits, which were, and these monetary limits, yes, these are fixed by the CBIC. Yeah? So in some cases it can even so happen that monetary limit is not exceeding. Okay, still appellate tribunal or court may accept the appeal. Okay, so crux of this particular section is, this restriction is first of all applicable only on the department. Whenever the department wanted to file the appeal, department will have to check whether the amount is exceeding the monetary limits or not. If it is not exceeding, then appeal by departments cannot be accepted. Yes, and now coming on to the last section, that is section number 121. 121 is such a section where they are telling that 4 orders are given there, where they are telling that appeal is not possible, as well as revision of the following orders is not possible. You cannot go for appeal against these 4 types of orders. Ma'am, which are those orders? Okay, suppose if the commissioner has transferred my case. Okay, if suppose commissioner has transferred my case from one officer to another, okay, then in that case I cannot say that why did you transfer. No, it is non-appealable. Okay, next, if there was any order for seizure of books of accounts, registers, etc. passed, then that order is non-appealable. Okay, if there is any order for prosecution passed, that is imprisonment, fine, etc., then also appeal cannot be filed. Okay, revision appeal, nothing can be done. And last, if any order was passed under section 80 for payment of taxes in installment, 24 monthly installments, if any order was passed under that particular section, I cannot go for an appeal against that. Okay, so 4 orders. One, where my proceeding was transferred from one officer to another. Order for seizure of books, registers, etc. was passed. Prosecution order was passed, or section 80 order where I was either allowed or disallowed to pay the tax in installments. Again, that appeal is also not possible. Even revision is also not possible. Are you clear till here? Yes, this was all about the appeals provisions, appeals and revisions under your GST. And just try to study this chapter in parts. Okay, first level of appeal, second level of appeal, third level, fourth level. The chapter will be very, very simple.